everyone and welcome to my tutorial. I am Priyanka and today we will be solving a problem on hand tracing. So before we proceed, it is important for us to understand theoretically what is hand tracing. Hand tracing is a simulation of code execution in which you step through instructions and track the values of variables. Remember, when you hand trace code, or rather the pseudocode, you will write the names of the variables on a sheet of paper. Conceptually, you are to execute each step of the code and update the variables accordingly. So it is always best to have the code written or either printed on a sheet of paper. Either use a marker or a pen, paper clip to mark the current line. Whenever a variable changes, cross out the old value and write the new value underneath. When a program produces an output, also write down the output in another column. For example, what value is displayed in this program? Have a table populated. In this case, we will have an sum and the digit. The first two variables are initialized with 1729 and 0 before the loop is entered. From our program, we can see that n has the value stored 1729, whereby sum stores a value of 0. Because n is greater than 0, enter the loop. So if we see the value of n, the condition is if n is greater than 0, then we enter into the loop. In this case, we will enter the loop just because the value of n is greater than 0. Therefore, the variable digit is set to 9. The remainder of dividing 1729 by 10. So in this case, int digit is equal to n, which is 1729 modulus 10. Now, before we proceed any further, we need to understand what does a modulus operator do. Remember, this percentage sign is known as modulus. The modulus operator, sometimes also called the remainder operator or integer remainder operator, that works on integers and yields the remainder when the first operand is divided by the second. So in this case, n is 1729, whereby modulus operator is applied with a value of 10. So that simply means the variable digit is set to 9 because the remainder of dividing 1729 by 10. The variable sum is set to 0 plus 9, which is equal to 9 in this case. So initially the sum is 0. So 0 plus the digit we attained is 9, which is equal to 9. So n has a value of 1729 initially and sum had a value of 0 initially. In order to proceed into our next line, we have to cross out the old value and write the new value underneath. In this case, we will cross out 0 and we will cross out 1729 in this case. In the next line, we will have the updated sum which evaluates to 9 and our digit will remain 9. Remember, finally n becomes 1172. Recall that the remainder in the division 1729 divided by 10 is discarded because both arguments are integers in this case. Further, we have to cross out the old values and write the new ones under the old ones, as I have demonstrated previously. So in this case, we will cross out 1729 and 0 because that was initial value stored. Now we have an updated value of n, whereby n is equal to 172 and sum up to 9. That is, our digit value is equal to 9. Now check the loop condition again in order to proceed further to meet our requirements. In this case, we will update another row. That is, 172 again gets deleted because the condition still, the loop will still continue since the n value is 172. So while n, that is 172, is greater than 0, we again enter the loop. And n digit is equal to n modulus 10. And in this case, we have a value. So to update this value, remember, we need to cross out the old value. We need to cross out the old value and write the new value underneath. Because n is still greater than 0, which is 172, repeat the loop. We will enter the loop again. Now digit becomes 2. Sum is set to 9 plus 2, which is equal to 11, and n is set to 17. In order to continue with our program and see where it stopped, we have to continue working. Repeat the loop once again, setting digit to 7, sum to 11, plus 7, which is equal to 18, and n to 1. In this case, we had 17, 11, and 2. Now, remember that in the next line, after completing the loop, we still have a value of 17 stored in n, which is greater than 0. So we continued of entering the loop and getting our arithmetic operation done. In this case, we had n is 1, sum is 18, and digit is 9, following the condition and mathematics which is being given inside our loop. Finally, enter the loop for the last time. Remember, cross out the old values. In this case, still we have 1. 1 is still greater than 0. Remember? So we will meet our condition again inside our loop. Once that is been done or processed rather, we will achieve a value of sum which equates to 18 and a digit of 7. Now in this case, we have to enter the loop one more time. Remember, we finished with 1. Enter the loop for the last time and we will explore why for the last time. Now digit is set to 1, sum to 19, and n becomes 0. Now in this case, when n becomes 0, the sum evaluates to 19 and digit is 1 in this case. The example continued. Remember, because n equals to 0, this condition is not true now. So the condition n is greater than 0 is now false, and eventually we'll stop the loop. Continue with the statement after the loop. So once this becomes false, where we are standing at this right time, where n is 0, and this condition becomes not true. To continue with the statement after the loop. So we will straight away, if this becomes false, go into our cout statement where it says cout sum ENDL. Remember, cout displays something. So this statement is an output statement. The value that is output is the value of the sum, which is in this case 19. Why 19? Because we stopped our loop at 0 due to the condition which is not true. And the stored value for sum in this case was 19. And the digit is 1. So our output remains 19. To sum up, in order to hand trace, we extracted the last digit of n, we added the digit of sum, and finally we stripped the digit of n. Remember, hand tracing can help you understand how an unfamiliar algorithms work. Should you have any question and queries, please feel free to comment. Thanks for watching.